Hi guys, hope you all are and having a nice day whenever you watch this video. Um, I'm having a good day. It's really cold today. It's Saturday morning, I think the 4th of January, and I went for a park run this morning, and yeah, I feel really good that I got up and went. But equally, it was really cold this morning, so yeah, I'm a bit frozen, hence the hat, and yeah. This video will be interesting, I hope, for you if you are someone that's interested in the history of, well, I won't say the history of, I'd say if you're interested in my thoughts on how computing and the internet has evolved, particularly if you are someone that's born in the 90s. And I think it might be interesting also if you're someone that's born in the early 2000s, just to hear a perspective of someone that was born a little bit earlier. And I guess the reason that I wanted to make this video is something that I've been kind of thinking about for a while is, when does technology for the sake, or progress in technology for the sake of progress, become something that's not maybe a good idea? And ultimately technology is meant to serve humans and make our lives better, which I think which I'm sure loads of people feel to a large part, it of course does. I'm going to preface this by saying these are just my initial thoughts. I'm not speaking from a background of having done lots of research or anything. It's just something I'm feeling at the moment that I guess I wanted to put in a video just to share. But I know a lot of my friends, well, not a lot of my friends, I know some people in my friendship groups that really struggle with addiction to apps like TikTok and even things like YouTube Shorts and YouTube and whatever else, all these different social media applications, and just generally having sort of a need to check their phone quite often. And I feel like I've definitely observed that I spend a lot of my time on my phone as well. And I guess I've been questioning or thinking how much of that is actually useful and is contributing in a meaningful way to my life. And one of the things I wrote on my motivation board, I have a whiteboard in my room, and I try and write things that really resonate with me or things that I want to embrace in my life is, one of the things I've wrote is time, present time is better than screen time. Meaning to say, it's better to spend time and be present with people than it is to, be on your screen. And yeah, and I guess maybe these kind of different thoughts in my mind have inspired me to make this video, and hopefully it won't be too long, and hopefully I can keep it a little bit engaging and interesting for you. So, to set the scene, I was born in 1994, and for those of you that were born in the mid-90s, early 90s, late 90s, you perhaps remember different technologies, for example, companies like AOL, which actually I just recently learned AOL stood for America Online, which I can't believe I never knew. But I remember AOL being a company, and I remember I probably got my first computer when I was 11, 12, maybe, I want to say. I was a little bit older when I bought when my dad and mum and dad bought my first computer. But by the time I was the early 2000s, I remember it was quite, everyone knew that it was really important to have, and a lot of people, I think, ended up buying PCs at home because you needed it to do educational stuff and things like that. And I remember my desktop tower had a CD-ROM drive. I remember the actual computer being quite, in terms of its design, it wasn't as, well, let's say, striking as Apple products. It was a Dell computer, and it was this kind of, it was different shades of essentially, dark black and dark grey and colours like that, with a silver Dell logo, I think. I remember the time that I got a computer, the screens had become flat screen. So I remember my monitor was flat screen. Before that, there were monitors which, if you looked at it from the side view, it was they were that thick. They kind of had this weird shape, almost like some of the original iMacs, if you've seen them. They had this kind of rounded shape behind them, almost like a human skull. But yeah, I digress a bit there. But by the time I got one, it was kind of flat. And I actually remember the first time that I got access to the internet, because a computer without internet was maybe the norm before that. But I remember it coming with Paint and Windows software, and you could do some cool stuff. And then once you got access to the internet, that was when things really opened up. And I remember going to actually a neighbour's house when I was younger. This was before I had my own computer, and yeah, and going to the house, and this neighbour had, her name was Shirley. She had a computer. She was an elderly lady. She had a computer at her home, and I think she must have had internet access as well. So she was well ahead of her time, at least by my standards. And I remember going and typing and like remembering or like memorizing a website. I can't remember what website it was, and typing it in to a web browser. I can't remember what web browser. It must have been a very early or primitive, but maybe it was Internet Explorer. I don't know. And for the first time opening a website, after having, and I remember typing the spelling in wrong and nothing happened. Like it wouldn't load. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, you need to get the spelling has to be exactly right, you know. And it had to be typed in, and I remember typing it in as http dot / and then the website. So, yeah, I guess for people that were born after the 90s, that, you know, the technology had become so sort of ubiquitous, or the user interface had been improved so much that you didn't see that side of it. Although, to be honest, it's still how it kind of, like, the underlying layer is still how it happens. It's just all these other technologies have emerged that have made it very user-friendly. In any case, coming back to my home, so I had an AOL. I remember putting an AOL CD in that came with some software, and it came with a login and a password. And I remember connecting it up to my phone line. Like I can discreetly sort of remember there being a phone box in my dad's room. There were these kind of small I don't know how to describe it, boxes on the wall that came with a very small adapter that had like a pin bit on the edge, I think, and you put your phone line in. I remember there was a dongle or something, and then you connect the AOL line and you plug it into the Ethernet cable. And I'm not sure if I recall hearing the famous AOL sound, like beep beep beep. It made some sort of sound. I can't really do it. I'll sound like a bit of an idiot if I try. But I remember that's how I connected to the internet, and I remember thinking that it was important that my mum or dad didn't use the phone downstairs because it would disconnect me from the internet. So I guess for people born after the 2000s, you might not know that history of, or at least my view of my perspective on how things were back then. But people born in the 90s, you might also remember websites like AOL Instant Messenger. I remember AOL's homepage having like a curated news and an instant messenger. I remember using websites like I remember using Microsoft Messenger. I think it was called MSN. I remember having that when I was in secondary school, and that was a way to like connect with my friends, which was really early social media apps essentially. I remember websites like Piczo and MySpace, and obviously MySpace is quite famous for a lot of people that are interested in this kind of thing. And yeah, like I actually don't remember YouTube coming on very early in 2006, but I remember hearing of Facebook quite early. Maybe it was around the 2006 time. But anyway, so coming back to the point I think of this video, the reason I'm kind of bringing these different things up is I was thinking about like how technology, the progress in technology, how it happens, and why, like how do we keep sight of the fact that it should benefit us. And I think for a lot of people perhaps born in the generations where all these underlying technologies became so kind of, in the background, where the user interface improved so much that you don't see the underlying stuff. And in some ways, I guess, like how all this stuff works is a bit like magic, right? The internet just works, and websites just work, and watching videos and stuff online is just, it's so normal that it kind of seems like magic. And I was thinking to myself, actually yesterday when I was doing a bit of a search on ChatGPT to better understand the history of the internet, and it's actually amazing at explaining. Well, in my view, it's really good at explaining. I didn't fact check everything, but it's quite good in explaining how the early internet was established and what the TCP/IP protocol was. And I was actually inspired to look at this because there's a great podcast done by a woman named Jessica Livingston, and I'm very sorry, I can't remember the other person that there's two amazing ladies that run this podcast. I will share it. It's called the Social Radars podcast. The other lady is a lawyer by background, and she also asked some really great questions. Her name is not coming to me at the moment. And they had this person on, Ron something, who was an early investor in the internet, and I might share the podcast so you can have a look, a listen even. And he was talking about how Netscape, which was this original browser, unlocked. He's an angel investor. Unlocked, the incredible amount of opportunities for software companies to come, and how he saw that in early '96. It's really fascinating. But it got me interested in trying to, better understand how computers work. And I guess what I realized is I don't really understand how computers, or more so how the internet works. And I was thinking about this, but vaguely I have an idea that you plug something into the internet, or it connects. A computer connects to the internet, and then through the internet we're able to share files and whatever. But I did a ChatGPT search and tried to better understand how what is a server, and when you write a text document on your own computer, it gets sent to, you upload it essentially to a server through the internet, and the server is a computer of a different kind that is essentially always connected to the internet, and then another computer somewhere around the world, when it looks up your document, which is actually underlyingly done through IP address, but IP addresses were very it's a very non-convenient way of looking up a website, because it's just a bunch of numbers, right? And how many numbers can you remember? It's not very intuitive. And later on, DNS servers came to be, which added domain names. And .com actually stands for commercial, which again, I didn't know. Really interesting stuff. But yeah, these DNS servers essentially added the www dot, and you search by name. But the underlying, when you, even today when you connect to the internet, you're sending a request to an IP address for a server, and the server then sends a default file. There can be many files on a server, but it will send the default one, which is usually index.html. And for those of you that have tried any web coding in the past, it will ring bells basically. And that gets sent through from the server. It gets converted via, I think, a modem or something into an electrical signal, or if you use fiber optic, into light pulses. And these get sent through these massive cables and infrastructure that internet service providers use, eventually making it to your computer or your modem, which then converts these analog signals into digital signals that your computer can understand, and then your browser then interprets that and displays the web page, which I thought was quite fascinating, because when I thought about it, I don't obviously I don't think I have an amazing understanding, but I didn't really understand that's how internet and servicing, that's how that works. That's how a computer requests something from the internet, and it got me thinking. Can your own computer be a server? If I left my own computer online, can I set it up so that it's a server, and it's already connected to the internet, for example? And I'm actually going to spend some time trying to understand this better, and I'm pretty sure you can set up your own computer. And it got me reading and thinking about IP addresses, which I might spend a little bit more time thinking about. But my overarching point was that actually all of the stuff that seems like it just happens by magic today, which feels very normal, like how we access videos and blah 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 on our phone, and the underlying how it actually works is actually not that complicated, and it's all set up by humans. If you ask ChatGPT to explain these concepts to you as if you were a 9-year-old or a 5-year-old or something, not just ChatGPT, but any of the the recent AI models that are really good at this kind of thing, you can quickly kind of get an underlying concept of how these things work. When I searched on GPT, it used analogies equivalent to the postal service, and it said something like, your computer is a mailbox. Internet service provider is essentially the postal office, which collects the data from your mailbox and then delivers it and routes it through the postal service and sends it to the person that requests it, etc. And you can really start to get a feeling and understanding for how this technology works. You can take that one step back and think about essentially how do computers work. And I guess why I'm bringing all this up, or the crux of this video, is if you're perhaps someone that, and I'm including myself in this, kind of sometimes feels like I'm spending a lot of time, just checking things on my phone for no apparent reason, because I'm not sure it has any meaningful value to my life. It's useful to be connected and it's useful to have information, but what is the price of having too much information? And what are you giving up in spending all that time on your phone, instead of maybe with people and talking to people and getting to know people? And I guess that's a deeper question, and everyone has to figure out the answer to that for themselves. But these different technologies, like YouTube, like the social media applications, and just in general, the amount of information and entertainment that's available on your phone, it's really unlimited. And I don't know if one of my friends was mentioning this, that she had to delete lots of basically every app that had any kind of social media or stories or anything like that, because she went from using TikTok to then looking at Instagram stories, then to YouTube Shorts, then to XXX, and you can just spend it doesn't matter what the application is. There's just so much you can do on your phones these days that you can spend. There's so much information and entertainment you could spend all day on there, and never run out of things to look up. So I guess you have to curate your own time, because you're not going to run out of things. And I guess, yeah, so, sorry, this has become a bit of a longer video. Hope it's still, I'm able to upload it. I guess what I was thinking is, it's like a lot of these things, I think because we're not aware of how the underlying technology works, and how really it's just very simple things that humans have created, and how the underlying technology works, and the fact that it's not as complex as we think, and all these things that seem like magic when we just do things on our phone. I think if you're able to, for me, I think having a better understanding of how the underlying stuff works, it in some way is making me, I feel intuitively that it might be an unlock to spending less time on my device, or on my phone, or on the internet, because I have a better sense of the fact that this is just all stuff that humans have created, and at the end of the day, it's all zeros and ones. It's amazing, and it's very interesting, and it's engaging, and there's so much you can do on platforms like YouTube and social media, and you can stay connected with the world, and you can stream movies, and there'll be unlimited things everything you can do in the normal real world. You can find a way of making a version that's equivalent, that's digital, right? It's just converted into zeros and ones, and then shared over this thing called the internet, which is just servers that upload things. And we have really fast internet connections now, which means it all seems like it's happening. It happens instantly. You don't have to think about anything. And when we look at platforms like YouTube and websites and stuff nowadays, we just you don't see that there's an underlying IP address that it connects to, and you don't see all those technical things, which is an achievement, I guess, by lots of technical people and companies that have made it so accessible, and so it seems magical because it just happens. But I wonder if that magic, that the hiding of all the technical aspects for people that are not knowledgeable or understanding of the underlying infrastructure, myself included, if that leans into some sort of not an addiction, but the sense that you're just kind of gripped with all of this because it just seems so magical. I think that's what I was trying to say. In any case, I'm going to stop now because this video is coming to 20 minutes, but I would be interested to hear your thoughts. So if you managed to follow my rambling all the way through to 20 minutes, I'd be interested to hear your thoughts about what you think. And what if you were born in the 90s or 2000s or even before, what your experience has been like with technology, and how you find it day to day. I'll stop there. If you've watched this far, thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a lovely day wherever you are, and whatever time you're watching this. And thank you. I'm going to stop there. Have a lovely week, and I'll try to upload again in the days to come. Bye.